respected. If you are listening to this right now, pause for a moment and breathe, because this message is not an accident. It did not find you by coincidence. It reached you at this exact second because something inside your heart has been crying quietly, and heaven has heard what no one else could hear. There are moments in life when we feel invisible. When we wake up in the morning and the weight on our chest feels heavier than the blanket covering us. When we smile in front of people but fight silent battles behind closed doors. You may not have told anyone what you are carrying. You may have mastered the art of saying, "I am fine," while your spirit whispers, "I am tired." And yet, here you are. You clicked on this message at a specific time in your life. Not a year ago, not a year from now, but today. And that tells me something powerful. It tells me that your soul is searching. It tells me that you are standing at a crossroads. It tells me that you are not meant to stay where you are. There are seasons in life when nothing seems to move. You pray, but the door does not open. You work hard, but recognition does not come. You try to stay positive, but disappointment keeps knocking. In those moments, it is easy to believe that you have been forgotten. But let me tell you something with all the sincerity of my heart. Delay is not denial. Silence is not absence. And struggle is not a sign that you are abandoned. Sometimes the greatest transformations happen in hidden places. Think about a seed. Before it becomes a tree, it is buried in darkness. It is pressed by the soil. It is surrounded by dirt. If the seed could speak, it might say, "I am being buried." But in reality, it is being planted. What if this season of your life is not your burial, but your planting? What if the pressure you feel is not meant to break you, but to push your roots deeper? There is a reason this message reached you today. You may have been doubting yourself, questioning your purpose, wondering if your efforts even matter. Maybe you've been comparing your journey to someone else as highlight reel. Maybe you've been silently asking, why is everyone else moving forward while I feel stuck? Listen carefully. Your timeline is not a mistake. The bamboo tree is one of the most fascinating creations in nature. For years, after it is planted, nothing visible happens above the ground. You water it, you nurture it, you wait. And still, there is no sign of growth. But beneath the surface, something extraordinary is taking place. Roots are spreading, strength is forming, a foundation is being built. And then, suddenly, within a short period, the bamboo shoots up rapidly, sometimes growing dozens of feet in weeks. People look at it and call it sudden success. But they do not see the years of unseen preparation. Maybe you are in your underground season. Maybe your growth is happening where no one can applaud you. Maybe the reason this message reached you now is because you are closer than you think to your breakthrough. I have met people who almost gave up one day before their miracle. One more rejection letter, and they were ready to quit. One more heartbreak, and they were ready to close their hearts forever. One more financial setback, and they were ready to stop dreaming. But the turning point was closer than their pain allowed them to see. You must understand something about life. It tests you not to destroy you, but to reveal you. It exposes your weaknesses so you can discover your hidden strength. It stretches you so you can grow beyond your comfort. Right now, you may feel stretched thin. You may feel exhausted. You may feel like you have given more than you received. But what if this stretching is preparation? What if this exhaustion is shaping endurance? What if this season is carving character into your soul? There is something sacred about struggle. It humbles you. It deepens you. It makes you compassionate. It forces you to rely on something greater than your own understanding. You see, when everything is going well, we rarely pause to reflect. We move quickly, we chase the next goal, we assume we are in control. But when life slows us down through difficulty, we are invited to look inward. This message reached you because you needed a reminder. You are not alone in your process. There are nights when tears fall quietly and no one knows. There are mornings when courage is not loud and bold, but soft and trembling. Courage is sometimes just getting out of bed. Courage is sometimes just trying again. Courage is sometimes choosing to believe when evidence is scarce. And that courage inside you, it is proof that your story is not over. You may have been questioning your worth. Perhaps someone walked away from you. Perhaps an opportunity slipped through your fingers. Perhaps a dream you held tightly has not unfolded the way you imagined. But your value does not decrease because of someone else's inability to see it. Your worth is not determined by one chapter. A single setback does not define your destiny. The truth is, the most meaningful lives are not built on comfort. They are built on resilience. They are built on faith during uncertainty. They are built on hope in the middle of doubt. If you feel broken, remember this: broken ground produces harvest. A plowed field looks messy before it bears fruit. It looks torn apart before it becomes fruitful. What if your life is simply being prepared for a greater harvest? There is something about timing that we rarely understand in the moment. We want answers now, we want change now, we want clarity now. But growth often requires waiting. Waiting is uncomfortable, it challenges our patience. It forces us to confront our fears, but waiting also builds trust. It strengthens our spirit. It teaches us that we are not defined by immediate results. You may not know what tomorrow holds. You may not see the full picture, but you are not drifting without direction. Even when you cannot see the path, steps are being ordered. Even when you feel lost, you are being guided. The fact that you are listening to this message right now tells me that you still have hope. Even if it is small, even if it feels fragile, hope is still alive in you, and hope is powerful. Hope wakes you up one more day. Hope pushes you to try again. Hope whispers, there is more. Hope says, do not settle here. Hope reminds you that the pain you feel is not permanent. There is a reason this message found you exactly when you needed it most. It is because you are on the edge of understanding something deeper about your life. You are about to realize that your struggles have not been random. They have been shaping you, preparing you, strengthening you. You have survived things that once felt impossible. You have endured nights you thought would never end. You have faced fears that once paralyzed you. Look at you now. You are still here. That alone is evidence of strength. Do not underestimate the power of staying. In a world where people quit quickly, your perseverance is rare. In a culture that celebrates instant success, your patience is sacred. This message is not here to entertain you. It is here to awaken you. To remind you that your life has purpose beyond your current pain. To remind you that the storm you are walking through is not the final destination. Storms do not last forever. They pass. And when they pass, they leave behind clarity. They leave behind growth. They leave behind a version of you that is stronger than before. Perhaps this is the moment when you decide not to give up. Perhaps this is the moment when you choose to believe again. Perhaps this is the moment when you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and starts seeing yourself as a student of life. There is wisdom in your wounds. There is strength in your scars. There is beauty in your perseverance. And there is still more ahead of you. You may not see it yet. You may not feel it fully, but something is shifting. Something is aligning. Something is unfolding behind the scenes. This message reached you because your heart needed confirmation. Confirmation that your journey matters. Confirmation that your tears were seen. Confirmation that your faith, even when shaky, is not wasted. You are not behind. You are becoming. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. And you are not at the end. You are at a turning point. There comes a moment in every life when the noise becomes too loud. The expectations of others, the pressure to succeed, the fear of failure, the comparisons, the disappointments, it all builds up until you can no longer hear your own inner voice. And when you lose connection with that voice, you begin to lose connection with yourself. Maybe that is where you have been lately. You have been trying to meet everyone else's expectations, trying to prove your worth, trying to keep up with timelines that were never meant for you. And in the process, you started feeling empty. Not because you are weak, but because you have been pouring from a cup that has not been refilled. This message is not just reaching you at the right time. It is reaching you at a necessary time. You see, there is a difference between being busy and being aligned. You can be working hard and still feel lost. You can be surrounded by people and still feel alone. You can achieve milestones and still feel incomplete. Because true fulfillment does not come from applause. It comes from alignment with your purpose. The problem is that purpose is rarely loud. It does not shout over the crowd. It whispers. And you can only hear it when you slow down. Sometimes life allows chaos not to punish you, but to push you into stillness. Because in stillness, clarity is born. Think about the last time you truly sat alone without distraction. No phone, no noise, no pressure. Just you and your thoughts. It can feel uncomfortable at first. Because when the distractions fade, the truth surfaces, the fears, the dreams you buried, the regrets you never processed, the desires you were too afraid to admit. But within that discomfort lies revelation. Perhaps the reason this message reached you now is because you are being invited into a new level of awareness, a deeper understanding of who you are beyond your achievements and beyond your failures. You are not just your job title. You are not just your bank balance. You are not just your relationship status. You are not just your mistakes. You are a living story in progress. And every story has tension before triumph. Consider the heroes in every meaningful story. They are not admired because life was easy for them. They are admired because they endured, because they kept walking when the road was uncertain, because they faced their doubts and chose courage anyway. Your life is no different. There are chapters you wish you could skip, moments you wish you could erase. But those very chapters are building emotional depth within you. They are teaching you empathy. They are teaching you patience. They are teaching you resilience. And resilience is not built in comfort. It is built in challenge. You might be asking yourself right now, how much longer, how much more do I have to endure? When will things change? What if change is already happening within you? External transformation often follows internal transformation. Before your circumstances shift, your mindset shifts. Before doors open around you, something opens inside you. Maybe you are beginning to see life differently. Maybe you are starting to recognize patterns you once ignored. Maybe you are finally realizing that some things you were chasing were never meant for you. Not every closed door is rejection. Some are protection. Not every delay is punishment. Some are preparation. There were opportunities you cried over when they slipped away. There were relationships you begged to keep. There were plans you worked hard for that collapsed unexpectedly. At the time it felt like loss. But what if years from now you will look back and see those moments as redirection? Sometimes the greatest blessings arrive disguised as disappointment. You are being shaped for something that requires a stronger version of you. A wiser version. A more grounded version. And growth into that version cannot happen overnight. Imagine if every dream you had came true immediately. Would you be ready for it? Would your character be strong enough to sustain it? Would your mindset be stable enough to manage it? Preparation protects you from premature success. There are people who reached their dreams too early and were crushed by the weight of them. There are people who gained everything but lacked the inner maturity to maintain it. Success without preparation can become a burden. So if your journey feels slow, do not despise it. Depth takes time. There is also something else you need to hear. You are allowed to outgrow who you used to be. You are allowed to change your mind, to change your path, to release identities that no longer fit. You are not obligated to remain the person you were 5 years ago. Growth means evolution. Perhaps this message reached you because you are standing at the edge of a new chapter. You feel it in your spirit. Something is shifting. Old desires are fading. New ideas are forming. Old habits feel uncomfortable. New disciplines are emerging. Change can be frightening because it requires letting go of familiarity. But familiarity is not always safety. Sometimes it is stagnation. The caterpillar must release its old form to become a butterfly. That process is not comfortable. It is isolating. It is dark. It is transformative. You might feel like you are in your cocoon season. Isolated, uncertain, unseen. But transformation is taking place. When you finally step into your next season, people will call it luck. They will call it overnight success. They will not see the nights you questioned yourself. They will not see the internal battles you fought. They will not see the prayers you whispered or the tears you wiped away quietly. But you will know. And that knowledge will give you humility. There is power in humility. It keeps you grounded when you rise. It keeps you grateful when doors open. It reminds you of how far you have come. You have already come further than you realize. Take a moment to reflect on who you were 3 years ago. The fears you had, the limitations you believed, the doubts that controlled you. And now look at yourself. You have grown in ways that once seemed impossible. Growth is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle. It is seen in how you respond differently to situations that once triggered you. It is seen in how you protect your peace. It is seen in how you choose your battles wisely. You are becoming stronger, even if you do not feel powerful every day. Strength is not the absence of weakness. It is the decision to keep going despite it. And that decision, the one you make every morning to try again, is shaping your destiny more than any single event. This message reached you because you needed reassurance. Because somewhere inside you were wondering if all of this effort is worth it. It is. Every small step, every silent prayer, every act of discipline, every moment you chose integrity over shortcuts. It is building something lasting. You may not see the full structure yet, but the foundation is being laid carefully. Trust the process. Trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you. Trust that the right doors will open at the right time. Trust that your value is not determined by temporary circumstances. You are not defined by your current chapter. You are defined by your courage to continue writing. And right now, you are still writing. You are still believing. You are still standing. That is not weakness. That is quiet power. This message found you because you needed to remember who you are. Not the version shaped by fear. Not the version shaped by rejection. But the version shaped by resilience, faith, and inner strength. There is more ahead of you than behind you. There are dreams you have not yet dreamed. Impact you have not yet imagined. Joy you have not yet experienced. And you are being prepared to handle it all. There is something profound about the moment just before a breakthrough. It rarely feels like victory. It often feels like exhaustion. It feels like you have given everything you have, and you are not sure you have anything left. It feels like standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure whether you are about to fall or fly. And that is where many people turn back. They mistake the intensity of the pressure for a sign to quit. They assume that because it is hard, it must be wrong. But what if the resistance you feel is proof that you are moving in the right direction? What if the discomfort is not danger but growth? Gold is refined by fire, not destroyed by it. The heat removes impurities. It strengthens what remains. In the same way, the challenges you are facing are burning away doubt, fear, and insecurity. They are revealing the strongest parts of you. You may not feel refined. You may feel overwhelmed. But transformation is rarely gentle. There are moments when you will question everything, your path, your decisions, even your faith. You will wonder if you misheard your calling, if you misunderstood your purpose, if you aim too high or dream too big. But dreaming big is not your problem. Settling small would be. The reason this message is reaching you now is because you are being called higher. Higher in character, higher in vision, higher in responsibility. And elevation always requires adjustment. When you climb a mountain, the air becomes thinner. Your body must adapt. Your breathing changes. Your muscles ache, but the view becomes clearer. The perspective expands. You begin to see how small some of your worries truly were. Maybe your current struggle is an elevation process. Maybe you are being lifted to a level where old mindsets cannot survive. Old habits cannot follow. Old fears cannot dominate. And that lifting requires letting go. Letting go is not weakness. It is wisdom. Let go of the need to control every outcome. Let go of the obsession with perfection. Let go of the voices that told you that you are not enough. Those voices were never your truth. They were echoes of insecurity, not declarations of destiny. You were not created to live a small, fearful life. You were created with intention, with capacity, with potential that is still unfolding. And potential is not measured by where you are now. It is measured by what you are willing to grow into. There will always be people who misunderstand you. People who project their fears onto your dreams. People who doubt what they cannot see. But their limitations do not define your possibilities. If you wait for universal approval, you will wait forever. Sometimes you must move forward with quiet confidence, not arrogance, not pride, but deep inner certainty that your journey has meaning, even if others cannot see it. The truth is, you have already survived things that should have broken you, moments that shook your identity, seasons that tested your faith, losses that felt unbearable. And yet you are still here, listening, breathing, hoping. That is not coincidence. That is resilience. There is a reason you did not give up. A reason you kept going even when motivation faded. Something inside you refused to surrender completely. That something is your inner calling. It is your spirit recognizing that your story is not finished. The pain you experienced was not pointless. It was instructional. Pain teaches boundaries. It teaches discernment. It teaches you what truly matters. It strips away illusions. It clarifies priorities. Perhaps before this season, you were chasing things that did not align with your deeper purpose. Perhaps you were seeking validation in places that could never truly affirm you. Perhaps you were investing energy in relationships that drained more than they nurtured. And now, through difficulty, you are becoming more selective, more intentional, more aware. That awareness is growth. There is a maturity forming in you that cannot be rushed. It is the maturity that allows you to respond instead of react, to pause instead of panic, to trust instead of control. You may not have noticed it yet, but your reactions are changing. Situations that once overwhelmed you now challenge you differently. You still feel the weight, but you are learning to carry it with grace. Grace does not mean you do not struggle. It means you struggle with dignity. It means you allow yourself to feel without losing yourself completely. It means you acknowledge pain without surrendering to despair. It means you recognize fear without letting it dictate your decisions. You are learning emotional strength. And emotional strength is one of the most powerful forms of strength a human being can develop. Because life will not always be predictable. It will not always be fair. But with emotional strength, you can navigate uncertainty without collapsing under it. This message reached you because you needed to hear that your growth is real. Even if it feels invisible. Even if it feels slow. Even if no one is applauding you. The applause does not matter. The becoming does. There is a future version of you that will look back at this moment with gratitude. A version who will say, I am glad I did not quit. I am glad I endured. I am glad I trusted the process even when I did not understand it. That future version is being built right now. Every disciplined choice. Every act of courage. Every time you choose integrity over convenience. Every time you choose patience over impulse. You are constructing that future self. You do not need to have everything figured out. You do not need to see the entire staircase. You only need to take the next step. Clarity often follows movement, not the other way around. If you wait until you feel completely confident, you may never move. Confidence grows through action, through trying, through failing and learning and adjusting. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Some of the most successful people you admire failed more times than they succeeded, but they interpreted failure differently. They saw it as feedback, not as a final verdict. You can do the same. Reframe your setbacks as lessons. Reframe your delays as preparation. Reframe your pain as strengthening. And most importantly, reframe your story. You are not the person who always struggles. You are the person who always rises. You are not the person who was rejected. You are the person being redirected. You are not the person who is lost. You are the person who is discovering a deeper path. The language you use about yourself matters. It shapes your identity. It influences your decisions. Speak to yourself with the same compassion you offer others. You deserve encouragement, even from your own voice. This message is not random. It is a reminder that you are in the middle of transformation, not at the end of your road. You are being refined, not rejected, elevated, not eliminated, and as uncomfortable as it may feel, this process is aligning you with something greater than you imagined. There is a sacred stillness that comes just before a new beginning. It does not announce itself with noise. It does not arrive with fireworks. It comes quietly, almost unnoticed, like the first light before sunrise. And if you are paying attention, you can feel it. That is where you are right now. You may not have all the answers. You may still feel uncertainty. But deep inside, something feels different. The fear that once controlled you does not have the same grip. The doubts that once screamed now whisper. The pain that once defined you is slowly becoming a memory instead of a prison. You are changing. And change at this level is not about external achievements. It is about internal alignment. It is about finally realizing that you do not have to chase validation to prove your worth. It is about understanding that your value was never up for negotiation. It is about stepping into your life not as a victim of circumstances, but as a co-creator of your future. For so long, you may have been waiting for someone else to choose you, to approve of you, to recognize your potential, to open the door for you. But what if this season is teaching you to choose yourself? Choosing yourself does not mean selfishness. It means responsibility. It means taking ownership of your growth, your healing, your mindset. It means deciding that your past does not get to dictate your future. It means recognizing that while you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond. There is incredible power in that realization. You cannot rewrite what has already been written. You cannot undo mistakes. You cannot erase disappointments, but you can decide what those experiences mean. You can decide whether they become anchors or stepping stones. Every experience you have lived through has added depth to your character, even the ones you wish had never happened. Especially those. The betrayal taught you discernment. The failure taught you humility. The delay taught you patience. The heartbreak taught you self-awareness. The struggle taught you resilience. Nothing was wasted. And when you begin to see your life through that lens, something shifts. You stop seeing yourself as unlucky. You stop seeing yourself as behind. You stop seeing yourself as less than. You start seeing yourself as in process. Process is not glamorous. It is not always visible. But it is essential. Right now, you are in the process of becoming someone who can handle what you once only dreamed about. You are becoming someone who does not crumble under pressure, but rises through it. You are becoming someone who understands that true strength is quiet, steady, and grounded. There is a future waiting for you that requires this version of you. Not the fearful version. Not the insecure version, but this evolving, aware, resilient version. And that is why this message reached you exactly when it did. Because you were about to underestimate yourself again. You were about to question your progress again. You were about to believe the lie that nothing is changing, but everything is changing. You think growth should look dramatic. You think transformation should feel explosive. But often, it looks like small, consistent shifts. It looks like choosing peace over chaos. It looks like setting boundaries without guilt. It looks like waking up and deciding to try again. Those small shifts create massive impact over time. The person you are becoming is not built in a single moment of inspiration. It is built in daily decisions. In choosing discipline when you feel lazy. In choosing forgiveness when you feel hurt. In choosing faith when you feel uncertain. Faith is not pretending that everything is perfect. Faith is moving forward even when you cannot see the full picture. It is trusting that the path will unfold as you walk it. You have walked through dark seasons before, and each time you emerge stronger, wiser, more grounded. This season is no different. The pain you felt was not permanent. The confusion you experienced was not the end. The loneliness you endured was not proof of abandonment. It was preparation for independence. You are not alone in this journey. Even when you feel isolated, there are forces aligning in ways you cannot yet see. Conversations being prepared, opportunities forming, doors quietly unlocking. But you must be ready to step through them. And readiness does not mean perfection. It means willingness. Are you willing to believe that your story is not over? Are you willing to trust that your setbacks were set up for growth? Are you willing to see yourself not as broken, but as being rebuilt? You have come too far to stop now. There were days you thought you would not survive, nights you thought would never end, situations you thought would define you forever. And yet here you stand, still breathing, still hoping, still capable of dreaming. That is strength. That is purpose. And that is why this message reached you when it did. Because you needed a reminder that you are not stuck. You are evolving. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. You are not failing. You are forming. The next chapter of your life will not look like the last one. It will carry the wisdom you earned. It will reflect the lessons you learned. It will reveal the strength you built quietly. But you must step into it with courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else is more important than fear. Your growth is more important. Your calling is more important. Your peace is more important. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. They rarely come. Start with what you have. Start where you are. Take the next small step. You do not need to rush. You do not need to compare. You do not need to prove. You only need to continue. Continue believing. Continue growing. Continue trusting. Continue becoming. There is a version of you in the near future who will thank you for not giving up right now. A version who will live with more clarity, more confidence, more alignment. A version who will look back at this very moment and say, that was the turning point. And this is your turning point. This message did not find you by accident. It found you because your spirit was ready. Ready to rise above self-doubt. Ready to release old limitations. Ready to step into something greater. You are not behind in life. You are exactly where you need to be to become who you are meant to be. Trust that. Hold on to that. And walk forward with that certainty in your heart.